Our second speaker is Catherine West, Labour MP for Hornsey and Wood Green, on a massive swing from the Liberal Democrats, which has been part of becoming the biggest CLP in the country now in Hornsey and Wood Green, and also a member of Labour's Shadow Foreign Affairs team. Catherine.
Thank you very much, Matt, and a huge thank you to everyone who put today together. And I wanted to talk briefly about child poverty, just because children have been in the news this week, and we know lots of children have been in the news because they've been targeted and questioned as to whether they're children. And I think all of us here would agree that it's been disgraceful the way the most vulnerable children in our society have been treated in the last week. So, one of the jobs I did before I became a Member of Parliament was to work in Tottenham, working with young unaccompanied minors, not minors, but minors, during the Kosovan crisis. And it's lovely now as the member for Hornsey and Wood Green to bump into some of those youngsters who have their own children and who are now having wonderful lives, contributing to our economy and just being part of one of us. And I think that's what gets lost when some of our newspapers poke fun at young people, children who have a legal right to be here and come across and gain access to the services which they so need in terms of post-traumatic stress counselling and all those other things. So thank you all for being in solidarity with those youngsters and really feeling for them. It even makes me want to watch Match of the Day. My son will be so happy. I wanted to talk about how inspiring it was to listen to the young people talking today who are in nursing and medical training and so on, and to see the solidarity across the health sector. And today is sponsored, one of the sponsors is Unite, which is my union, and I think that's the magic of the trade union movement, when you can have both service users, patients, students working with the staff. So we had a teacher, we had nurses, doctors, but we also have student nurses and so on, everybody just working towards that vision of a fairer society. The other day at my advice surgery, I had a young woman come into my advice surgery with her mother. She's a young carer, and her mother is terminally ill with cancer. And she had to beg for this PIP payment, and it was just disgraceful, her description of having to go and beg for financial help. She's still working, but she doesn't earn enough. And in-work poverty is so terrible because it's so demeaning, because people are trying just so hard that they cannot pay the increase in housing costs, the increase in food costs and so on. And we know with the mess that the government's making on Brexit that inflation and food costs are going to go up and up. This week we had a victory on her case, and now she has got that extra payment, but sadly she is terminally ill with terrible terminal cancer, and I just thought she had to feel and go through that process, and that's what really makes it real when you're a constituency MP and you hear those stories. I just wanted to talk briefly about the pledges that we already have, because today felt a bit like a policy-making session. I was making notes about what we can do around student nurses, bursaries and so on. But 3 pledges that Jeremy's already made. One is that we're going to build thousands more council homes. The summer was not an easy summer for us in the Labour Party, but the good thing is by the end of it, both Jeremy and Owen were both saying that the way forward, we are in a national crisis, and in a national crisis, you need the government to build more homes. So I just wanted to sort of put that on record as somebody who was a council leader for years and years and was calling for councils to be able to build homes. We've made progress, so I think we should pat ourselves on the back for that. Even though it was a painful summer, we've got something from it, which was great. The other thing, obviously the £10 an hour living wage, fantastic pledge, something that we all work towards, something that would really make a difference. If we could bring that in by 2020, it would make such a big difference to families in poverty who are in work poverty, which is that very, very demeaning situation to be in. There's lots of other pledges, but the other one that I'll just mention, because I think this is really, really important, is lifting the 1% pay freeze on public sector workers. if you read the pages of the Financial Times now, there's all this talk about how the economy is improving and it's, you know, and yet, really, when you look at the people who teach our children, who feed our children their school dinners, who are working hours and hours in our NHS, they've actually had a 14% pay cut. So I am just desperate that we get into government and we can actually put these fantastic policies into practice. Please join with us as we continue our journey towards 2020, or earlier if there's an election. We do need to keep coming up with these sorts of pledges. I've only mentioned 3, but there's plenty more. And also the way that we do policy is so important. So huge thank you to everybody who spoke today and who's been involved. Together we can create the fairer society that we want to see. And with Jeremy, we can win. Thank you.